So moving the fleshy parts of your buttocks away from the sit bones so that they're directly rooted on the ground. And just draw your ears up towards your shoulders and back and down. And start to close your eyes and place your hands, palms facing down on your knees. And start to deepen your breath. And on each inhale, can you lift up out of your waist and lengthen your spine? And just completely relax the pelvis. And just feel out any stiffness in the body. And can you soften into any aches that you might have from the night's sleep? And draw your awareness completely to where you are right now on your mat. And taking this time out this morning to completely still the mind, relax the body, and make space. And start to deepen your breath on every inhale. Can you just inhale a little bit more? Hold at the top. And when you exhale, exhale all the air out. And release, if you can, even more air. And take your chin down to the breastbone and just hold it there for a moment. And notice how that opens up the back line of your neck. And now push your shoulders back in line with the back of your spine. And see if you can open and broaden your collarbones even more. Make sure the elbows are tucked into your waist. And sort of opening the front line of the shoulders. And now on your inhale, lift your chin up towards the sky. And on your exhale, draw your chin down to your chest. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, back up. And exhale down, and keep going in your own time. Closing your eyes and really noticing the subtle movements of your body. And just do 2 more like that. Start when you bring your chin back down to center. Take your chin over towards the right hand side, over your right shoulder, and lift the chin up and drawing circles with your chin, going back over to the other side. Stop in the center and change directions. And on your inhale, lift your chin up and exhale on the way back down. Stopping at the center. And just feeling out the movement in your neck. Having a bit of music difficulties, so there might not be music this class. And really drawing your shoulders away from your ears. And just do one more to each side. Exaggerating the movements, just opening up all of the small muscles within the neck. And when you're ready, take the left leg out towards 45-degree angle, bringing the right foot in towards the groin. Stretch your arms up towards the ceiling and stretch your body over towards that left leg, lifting up out of the waist. See if you can make sure that both sit bones are evenly rooted into the ground, and fold forward, stretching over that front leg, opening up the inner thigh, the back of the hamstring, and just feel out where you can. So whether you're holding onto the shin or the foot, and try to see if you can create a long line in the lower back, so not pulling on anything and just making space. And draw the navel in towards the spine, so you're still active within the core. And on your next inhale, lift up out of the waist. Take your right hand behind your sit bone, and now lifting up the hips towards the sky, roll over onto that right knee and stretch up and back, pointing the left foot. And on your exhale, slowly lower your hips back down to the ground and draw a semicircle in front of you towards your left leg. Stretching, holding there for one more breath. And on your next exhale, moving back, moving into a bit of a flow. Inhale up, pointing that left foot, and exhale back to the other side. And keep going in your own time, staying for breath. And back up. You can use a cushion for the knee if you need to. Opening up the hips, opening up the sacrum area. And doing one more like that, hand behind you. Inhale, lift up the hips. And exhale, release. Changing sides, try to use your core to swap the legs out. And just bringing that foot into the groin if you need to. Inhale, lift up out of the waist, making sure both sit bones are evenly rooted into the ground, and start to shift the body over towards the right hand side. Lift up, stretch up out of the waist, and fold forward over that leg, making sure the left sit bone is firmly rooted into the ground. And see if you can lengthen the spine, so almost direct your chin towards the foot. Stay for one more breath. And on your next inhale, come back up, stretch up, take your left hand behind you and lift the hips up and stretch behind you, opening up the front line of the body, and lift the hips, drop the hips back down, swiveling over to meet the left leg, and back and up. On the inhale, lifting the hips, and exhale back down. Keep going like that. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. One more. Inhale, lift the hips, and exhale, lower. Stay for one more breath here. And on your next inhale, lift up out of the waist, and just take the soles of the feet together and start to let the knees drop out towards the sides, push the heels in towards one another, so really activating the soles of the feet towards each other, allowing the groin to open up and loosen up the hips. See if you can lengthen your spine, drop your shoulders away from your ears. And exhale, release. And come over into your tabletop position. So knees directly below your hips, hands directly below your shoulders. And just feel out your position here for a moment, making sure your alignment's correct. You can tuck your toes under, so curling in, and just feel how that subtle movement opens up the front soles of the feet. And lift your chin up, and moving into cat-cow, lifting chin, dropping belly. Exhale, round the upper back, draw your navel in towards the spine. Inhale, lift the chin, drop the belly, and exhale, round the spine. Inhale, lift, and exhale, round the upper spine. And just do 2 more like that, really opening up the spine from the night's sleep. And keeping the cat position, so rounding your upper spine, keep your toes tucked under and just lift the knees off the mat. So hovering the knees just about 1 centimeter off the mat. Draw your core in towards your spine, so really starting to activate your core area, noticing the thighs turn on. Hold it here for 1 more breath. And on your next inhale, lift your hips up towards the sky in your downward facing dog. And just walk out your downward facing dog. If you need to measure out the distance, just come into your high plank and make sure that your shoulders are directly above your wrists. Your wrists are shoulder distance apart. And then come back into your downward facing dog. And bring the feet together and lift up onto the tippy toes, so stretching the back line of the legs. And now bend the knees a lot, so bending the knees, hovering them sort of about 10 centimeters off the mat, and really try to draw the shoulders away from the ears, so opening up the back line of the shoulder blades. And see if you can now start to lift the hips up towards the sky. Draw your navel in, so still active in the core, and try to create length in your spine. And on your next inhale, start to lengthen the legs back, keeping the toes together. Swivel the heels over towards the right hand side. Drop the left foot down to meet the mat, so the left sole of the foot is on the mat, keeping your right foot up and just feeling out that nice opening in the left side body. Coming back to breath, taking 2 breaths here. And on your next inhale, come back to center, change directions. So taking your heels over towards the left hand side, drop that right heel down to the mat. And feeling out that really nice opening all the way from the outside of the right palm all the way to the outside of the right sole of the foot. And inhale back to center. And take your feet hip width apart now. And just wriggle out, bending one knee, bending the other, opening up the body. And take your gaze forward and start to walk the feet to the top of the mat.
And keeping your feet hip width apart, and just hold here in your forward fold for a moment. And just feeling out this weight of the upper body, really drawing the back of the legs open. And grab hold of opposite elbows and just sway from side to side. And see with every sway if you can reach your elbows even closer down towards the ground. Subtly opening up the back line of the legs. Release your hands and bring them to the backs of the legs, and just take your hands and start to pat out the back of the legs, creating some movement in the lymph. And you can take fists or just massaging and creating some blood flow all down the back meridians of the legs, around the ankles, and the back of the knees, the back of the thighs, the buttocks. Stimulating all of the muscles in the back of the legs, creating fresh blood flow throughout the body. And just a few more like that, up and down. And release the hands. Bring the feet together, heels slightly apart, bend the knees a lot. And inhale, slowly roll all the way up to standing. Loop your shoulders back down. Inhale, lift your hands up towards the sky, high mountain, stretch up out of the waist. And on your exhale, you move over towards the left-hand side, hips over towards the right. And crossing at your thumbs, palms of the hands together. You really want to try to draw that left shoulder forward, right shoulder back. Opening up the side body. And just do subtle pulses over towards the left-hand side, making sure both feet are firmly rooted into the ground. And drawing your navel in towards the spine, relaxing your shoulders away from the ears. Starting to waken up the oblique muscles. And just do 3 more like that. Inhale, back to center, stretch up out of the waist, relax your shoulders away from your ears, and exhale over to the other side. You can change the cross of the thumbs, so opposite thumb on top, and draw those hips over towards the left hand side. Still keep breathing, and tuck your tailbone under. And start to pulse over towards the right hand side, pushing those hips over to the left. And relaxing your neck, relax your jaw. And just do a couple more like this. And on your next inhale, come back to center. Take your hands out towards the side, elbows wide, bend the knees slightly, and just coming into a back bend here. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, fold forward. Take your hands to the top of the mat. Step your feet back into your plank pose and hold it here for a moment. So really starting to activate the core. Make sure your hands are directly below your shoulders and drop the hips. So you really want a long line from the top of your crown of your head all the way to the heels. And keep breathing.
staying in this position, and just bend one knee and bend the other knee. Massaging the balls of the feet, opening up the calves, and come back to your high plank. Shift the weight slightly forward, come to your knees if you need to, moving through chaturanga, bending at the elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra pose, lifting the chest. And exhale, move through child's pose if you need to. And on your next inhale, come up into your downward facing dog. And just bending one knee, then bending the other knee. Inhale, lift the right leg up towards the sky. Pointing the foot. And then flexing the foot. Making sure the hips are level with one another, so not opening up to the side just yet. Inhale to lengthen that back leg, and exhale, draw the knee to nose and hold it there for a moment. And on your next inhale, stretch that leg back. Exhale, draw the knee to nose, hold it in. And inhale, stretch back. Last one, inhale, exhale, knee to nose. And drop the foot between the hands. And just stay here in your lunge with the back leg lifted off the ground, and just rock forward and back, opening up the hips. Just feeling out this sensation of creating space within the back sacrum area. And on your next exhale, drop the back knee to the ground, keeping your back toes curled under. Lift the arms up towards the sky in Anjaneyasana. Making sure that right hip is rolling back, left hip rolling forward. So you want your hips facing directly to the front of the mat. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. And take your hands together. Release the index finger and cross the fingers, cross the thumbs. Inhale, stretch up out of your waist. And exhale, move over towards the right hand side. So feeling out this really deep stretch all down the psoas muscle. And inhale back to center. Take your hands down to the top of the mat and move your hips back towards the left foot, flexing into your half Hanumanasana, so half splits, flexing that right foot, curling the toes towards the shin. And make sure your hips are not rolling over towards the left, so keeping them in line with the right leg. Moving into a little bit of a flow. Inhale, come forward into your low lunge. And exhale back into your half splits. Inhale, forward, low lunge. Exhale back. And two more like that. Really feeling out, opening of the hips. Meeting back in your low lunge, lift your back leg off the ground, coming into your high crescent lunge, lifting up out of the waist, so bending that front leg, and just feel out the movement here, so you can take a bend in the back knee if you need to, and make sure the front knee is directly above the right front ankle. Inhale to lengthen and exhale, twist over towards the right hand side, taking your right hand back, left hand forward, opening up to the side. Inhale back to center and exhale, fold forward, taking your front foot to meet the back foot in your plank pose. Hold it there for a moment. Shift the weight forward, drop to your knees if you need to, chaturanga, bending at the elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your hips up towards the sky. Inhale, lift your left leg up towards the sky. And just pointing the toes, making sure your hips are level. And flex the foot. Inhale, point. And exhale, flex. Inhale, point the legs. And exhale, draw the knee to nose. Hover it for a moment, really drawing the navel in towards the spine. Inhale, stretch the leg back. And exhale, draw knee to nose. Inhale, stretch back. And exhale, knee to nose. Hover it for a moment. See how long you can hold that knee up towards your chest. And exhale, drop the knee, the foot between the front of the hands. And drop your back knee. Keep your back knee off the ground. You just shift the weight forward and back. Massaging the ball of the foot. Opening up that calf muscle. Really stretching into the Achilles. And try to just create this opening and softening into the hips. And drop the back knee down. Inhale, lift the hands up towards the sky into your Anjaneyasana, stretching your arms up, crossing at the thumbs, interlacing the fingers, releasing the index fingers, stretching up out of the waist. And exhale over towards the left hand side, feeling this nice opening down the right psoas muscle. And try to shift that left hip back, right hip forward. And lift the toes of the front foot, so making sure your toes aren't clawing down into the mat. And inhale back to center. And exhale, take your hands to frame the front foot. And on your exhale, start to draw the hips back to the back foot, flexing that front foot, drawing the toes close towards the front shin, lengthening the spine. And on your inhale, come forward into your low lunge and move into a flow. Exhale back, flexing that front foot, drawing the hips over towards the left. Inhale back and exhale. You keep going like that, moving with your breath. And do two more like this. Meeting in your low lunge. Lift your back knee off the ground. Moving into your high crescent lunge. Lift up out of the waist. Take your arms up towards the sky. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Hold it there for a moment. Making sure there's a 90-degree angle with the front knee over the ankle. Inhale, lift up out of the waist, and exhale, open up towards the left hand side, taking your left hand back, right arm forward. Inhale, back to center, and exhale, take your hands down, step your front foot to meet the back foot. Staying in your high plank for a moment, rock the weight into your right hand, moving into side plank. Take your heels over towards the right hand side. Take your left hand up, and you can always drop down to the right knee if you need to. Lift the hips up out of the waist. Stay for one more inhale and one more exhale. On your next inhale, lift your hips. And exhale, take the left hand down, swivel the heels over to the other side, lift your right hand up, lift your hips up towards the sky. Should be a nice long line from the crown of your head all the way to your heels. And remember, you can always drop to that left knee if you need to It's just as strong. Lift up. One more breath. And exhale. One more inhale, lift up. And exhale, drop that right hand down towards the mat. And bending at your elbows, coming all the way down to your mat. See if you can stay off the knees. Dropping the belly to the mat. And draw your hands below your shoulders. Untuck your toes. And make sure the tops of the feet are firmly rooted into the ground. And on your next inhale, lift the chin up towards the sky. Start to lift the front breastbone off the ground, moving into your cobra pose. Keeping a soft bend to the elbows, really stretching the front line of the body. And exhale back down. I'm doing 2 more like that. Inhale, lift, and really start to try to tuck the tailbone under. Draw the navel in towards the spine, so activating your core. And exhale, release back down. Last one. Inhale, lift up, strengthening the back body. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Tuck your tailbone under. And exhale, release. Tuck your toes under. Move through the knees or through your plank pose into your downward facing dog. Bending one knee, bending the other. Inhale, look forward and jump or step forward to the top of your mat. Bending the knees a lot, coming into your Utkatasana on the inhale. Bending, coming down like you're almost sitting on a chair. I'm going to change my direction so that you can see. And just take your gaze over your knees, make sure your toes are peeping out. Stretch up out of the waist. And on your exhale, draw your hands to your heart space. See if you can drop even deeper into the hips. And on your next exhale, take your left elbow to the outside of the right knee, twisting over towards the right hand side. Making sure that right knee is not drawing back, so making sure the knees are both in line with the front of the mat. And see if you can open the front body and almost lean back like you are leaning against a wall behind you. So flat back. And start to shift the weight into your right foot. Lift your left leg off the ground and step it back to the back of your mat, staying in your twist. This is quite a strong pose, but really good for the morning to open and detox the body. On your next inhale, come into your high crescent lunge, bending that front knee, and just soften into this pose, feeling out the hips. See if you can bend even deeper into that front knee. Inhale, stretch up out of the waist, and exhale, open up, twisting open to the right. Right hand back, left hand forward. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, open up into your horse pose. I'm going to change direction. Taking your toes out, heels in, and dropping in to your hips. So opening up. Take your hands to the top of your knees. Stretch up out of your waist and drop the right shoulder in towards the middle of the mat and opening up the back body. Feeling this really nice stretch in the spine. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, over to the other side. Inhale, back to center. One more like that. Over to the left. Inhale back and exhale, twist. Inhale back to center. Just stay in your horse pose, dropping down. See how low you can take the hips. If you'd like to, you can come up onto the tippy toes. Challenge yourself today. Make sure your front body is not leaning forward, so you're really still in a long line up towards the sky. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Drop a little lower if you can. And inhale, drop the heels up into your 5-pointed star, arms up towards the sky. And exhale, moving through to the front of your mat. Step your back foot to meet the front foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands towards your shins. And exhale, forward fold. Bending at your knees into your Utkatasana chair pose. Take your arms up towards the sky. Take your gaze over your knees. Your toes should be peeping out. Really try to tuck the tailbone if you can slightly and draw your navel in towards the spine. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale. Take your hands to your heart space. Broaden the collarbones, and exhale, twist over to the left hand side, taking the right elbow to the outside of the left knee and really twisting out the midline. So you should feel the twist around your belly button, and the front part of your chest should be relatively open, drawing your shoulders away from your ears, and take your gaze to one point. You should feel nice and warm here. Bending your knees a lot. See if you can go even deeper, opening up the front line of the body, the chest, opening up the heart. And on your next inhale, take your gaze to the front of your mat. Shift the weight into your left foot. Step your right leg back to the back of your mat. Keeping on the ball of the right foot, open up to the left hand side. See if you can twist even deeper. Really dropping that right hip down and rolling that left hip back. Making sure the toes of the front foot are not clawing into the mat. So keeping that front foot relatively relaxed. Stay for one more inhale and one more exhale if you can twist even deeper. And on your next inhale, come up into your high crescent lunge, softening and dropping down into that front leg. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. And with all of these strong standing poses, you're creating capacity in your body to really come into stillness, and also capable of dealing with stress and tension. And on your next exhale, open up towards the left hand side, taking your right hand forward, left hand back. See if you can drop down into that front leg even more. And on your next inhale, swivel open into your horse pose again, dropping down into the hips, bending at the knees. Take your hands to your heart space. And staying in your horse pose, open your hands up towards the ceiling, stretching out. And on your exhale, push your hands down to the floor. Keep going like that. Inhale and exhale, drop down. Inhale, lift up out of the waist, and exhale, push the floor away. Inhale, back up, and exhale, push it away. One more like that. Inhale and exhale, down. Taking your hands to the bottom and to the mat. Swivel your toes in, heels out into your prasarita, wide-legged forward fold. Drop down and taking your head down to the front of the mat. And start to shift the weight into the balls of the feet. So keeping your heels on the mat, just shifting the weight to really start to open up the sit bones, open up your sacrum area. You can take your hands to the outside of the ankles, gripping onto the outside of the ankles. You can take your hands to the top of the back, so palms facing up, elbows out, and bird wing. You can interlace the fingers behind the sacrum and stretch the fingers and the knuckles up towards the sky and try to stretch them up and over the head. Stay for 3 deep breaths in this pose, softening and really opening up the back of the legs. And release your hands in whatever position they were in down to the front of the mat, and start to bend the left knee a lot and just coming into your Skandasana pose and really opening up the inner groin area. So just being careful in this position, making sure you're not straining the inner thighs too much. You can take your hands to your heart space. And take your hands down to the mat if you want to just have some extra support, and shift over to the other side, flexing the back foot. Taking your hands to the heart space. And you can start to move however you like, keeping the hands in front of you in your prayer position, or taking them down and just walking the hips from one side then to the other. And just go one more to each side, meeting at the front of your mat, taking your hands down to frame the front foot. Step your front foot to meet the back foot into your plank pose. Hold it here for a moment. And staying in this position, just drop the hips down, keeping your toes curled under, and start to open up into your hanging cobra. This is also quite a strong pose, but really nice, and opening the front hip flexors, broaden the collarbones. And inhale here, and on your exhale, take your gaze over the right, towards the right heel, really massaging the descending colon. Inhale back to center, and exhale, take your gaze over towards the left heel. And inhale back to center, and on your next exhale, drop and soften. Inhale back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up towards the sky and start to stack the hips on top of one another, opening up the side body, bending the right knee a lot, drawing the heel towards the buttocks, and just draw circles with your knee in the sky. So opening up the knee, opening up the hip, massaging the ball socket in the hip joint, and stretching that back leg up towards the sky on your inhale. Exhale into your pigeon pose, bringing your right knee towards the outside of the right ankle, and taking right wrist, and taking your right leg towards at a perpendicular line to the front of your mat. You can shift your back leg towards the back of the mat, and just make sure and take your gaze towards that back leg and make sure it's not flaring out towards the side. If you have a block, you can place it underneath the right sit bones, or a cushion underneath the right sit bones if they're really high up off the ground. Inhale to lift up out of your waist, and exhale, fold forward. So there shouldn't be too much weight in that front knee, you can bring that front foot towards the groin area if you need to, and just make sure you're feeling it in the hips, and start to soften the body. You can walk your hands forward, you can bring your hands to the front of the mat and just rest your forehead on top of the palms of the hands, whatever feels comfortable to you here. And staying here for a couple of breaths, just feeling into the hips. Done a lot of hip opening in this class, so you should feel a little bit more open. And really drawing your awareness back to your mat, coming back to your breath when your mind starts to wander, and just drawing your awareness back to the present moment. And on your next inhale, start to walk the fingers back to the front shin and lifting onto the ball of the back foot. I like to walk my back knee closer towards the front part of your body, and then create some strength in that back leg to lift up the front leg and kick it back into your three-legged dog. You can open up the hip if you like to, bending the knee and straightening. And on your exhale, drop that right leg back down to the mat, changing sides, lifting that left leg up towards the sky in three-legged dog, opening up the hip line to the left hand side, bending that left knee, drawing that left heel towards the buttocks, and try to see if you can draw that right heel down towards the mat, and drawing circles with the knee in one direction. You can change direction. And on your next inhale, lengthen that leg up into your three-legged dog, and exhale, draw the left knee towards the left ankle, left wrist, sorry. Draw that left shin parallel to the front of the mat, and just start to creep that back knee closer towards the back of your mat. Untuck the toes of the back leg, making sure it's directly behind you. Inhale, lift up out of the waist, taking a cushion below the left cheek, buttocks if you need to. And exhale, fold forward over that front shin, taking your hands forward or crossing the hands in front of you and placing your forehead, just swapping out the hands. If you remember, you can place your forehead on top of the opposite palm of the hand. And see if you can try to roll that right hip down, creating some space in the hips. And just drawing back to your breath. And see with every exhale if you can go deeper into the pose and just soften. On your next inhale, start to walk your fingers back towards your front shin, coming up onto the palms of the hands. Start to creep that back knee closer towards the midline of your mat. And on your next inhale, start to lift the hips up towards the sky, lifting your left shin up towards the sky, and just stretch that leg back, opening up the hips if you'd like to, bending the knee and opening, really drawing some fresh blood into the leg. And on your next exhale, drop the knees down, coming into your child's pose. So if you can, drawing the knees together in the morning, it's really nice to really gently massage the stomach muscles, stomach organs. But if you feel like you're taking too much strain, you can just take the knees out towards the side, whatever feels comfortable to you and whatever allows you to draw your forehead down to the mat. And start to really deepen the breath here and ballooning the belly. And by doing that, you are massaging all of the stomach muscles, stimulating your digestion for the rest of the day ahead. And see on the exhale if you can really try to draw your belly button in towards your spine. And draw your elbows down to the mat and take your palms of your hands into prayer position. And now take the thumbs towards the back of the skull, so towards that occipital ridge, which is just below the where the skull ends and the neck begins. And start to walk your elbows forward, so you should feel a really nice opening down the armpits area. And really feel like you're drawing the shoulder blades in towards one another, and start to draw your hips down towards the heels if you can. Really nice stretch in the triceps. And on your next inhale, drop the hands down towards the mat and just bring your body back up to a seated position, and drop your hips down, rolling over onto your sit bones. Moving into your boat pose, Navasana pose. So just moving the fleshy parts of your buttocks away from your sit bones, and start to lift the shins up towards the sky. Take your hands behind the knees and lifting your legs up. So using that as support, so really lifting up out of the waist. Making sure there's a nice long line so you're not rounding onto the lower back. And if you'd like to, you can take your hands out towards the sides. Drawing your navel in, activating the core. Closing your eyes if you can. Stay for one more breath here. Lift up the chest and exhale. Draw your knees in towards your breastbone and just roll back onto your back. Moving into your happy baby, so taking the soles of the feet towards the sky. Take your hands to the shins, or otherwise if you can reach the feet, taking hold of the outside of the soles of the feet, drawing your knees in towards the shoulders, kicking the feet into the hands while your hands are drawing your feet back down. You can rock from side to side here. Closing your eyes. See if you can draw your tailbone towards the mat. softly release the feet, drawing the right knee in towards your right shoulder, grabbing hold, interlacing on top of the right shin, drawing that knee in towards the shoulder. Draw your shoulders back down to the mat and make sure that left leg is still active, so that left heel is kicking into the mat. And see how by drawing your knee in towards your shoulder, you gently massaging the internal organs. And on your next exhale, drop the knee over towards the left hand side, moving into your supine twist, taking your right hand out to shoulder height and feeling this really nice opening, detoxing of the spine. And see if you can draw that right hip away from the midline of your body, so twisting, making sure both shoulders are even on the mat. Take your gaze over to the right hand side and just close your eyes. Feel the air on your skin. Completely softening the body. And on your next inhale, draw the knee back to center and swap out the leg, so grabbing hold of the left shin, interlacing the hands. See if you can interlace with the opposite grip, so opposite thumb on top, if you can remember, and draw that left knee in towards your left armpit, and just brushing the top part of the thigh on the outside of the thoracic area, massaging your descending colon, really drawing it in, compressing the hip flexor, flexing that right foot, making sure that right foot is active. And on your next exhale, take that left knee over towards the right hand side, stretching your arms out at shoulder height. I like to keep my hand on the left knee, but if you like to, you can just really open and soften into this pose, taking your palms facing up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze over towards the left hand side. Make sure both shoulders are firmly grounded into your mat. And on your next inhale, slowly soften and bringing that knee up towards your chest. And just draw your knees in towards your chest for a moment. Give yourself a nice big hug. And exhale, release into your Shavasana pose, taking your feet out wide, equal distance from the midline. Take your hands out, palms facing up towards the ceiling or the sky. You're outside, and dropping the toes out towards the sides, and really just wriggle out, making sure the back of the spine is even along the mat. Lift your head up and stretch it away from your shoulders, and relax your jaw, relax the eyes within the sockets. And draw your awareness to your fingertips and to your toes. And start to scan the body, feeling out the subtle difference in how your body feels compared to how you started the class. Notice the mind feeling soft and present. And deeply relax here in this Shavasana pose. And feeling the soft movement of air in and out of the nose. And just drawing your awareness to the tip of the nose, noticing the air coming into the body, and then the slightly warmer air coming out of the body. You can stay for as long as you like in this pose, giving yourself this time to be completely still and present. And stretch the arms up above the head, and just slowly awakening the body, pointing the toes, just yawning the body open. Stretching the right side and stretching the left. And when you're ready, roll over onto one side, bending at the knees and just using your arm as a pillow. And when you're ready, come back into just an easy, soft, seated position. Keeping your eyes closed. Bringing your hands to your heart space. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. I wish you a beautiful day ahead. Namaste.